coming in with you. Gonna break down this UFC 252 slate for you. Stipe Miocic versus Daniel Cormier. We're gonna hop right to it. One thing I'm gonna note is something different from the last videos. I have the exposures blank. That's because I believe that the best way to go about this DFS card today is to be using an optimizer and min-max entering. If you're not doing that, I feel you might put yourself at a disadvantage if some fights don't go your way. There's a lot of 50-50 fights. The odds, if you look at any sports books, if you live in a state where that's legal, it's not anything like too overbearing. Last time I checked, I believe like the highest was O'Malley, like minus 350. So it's not like Amanda Nunes fighting. It's not like Conor fighting Cowboy, anything like that. There are ways to go about it, but I'm not. This isn't the place to do that. I may start doing that soon, working something out. That'll be possibly in the future, but we're gonna get right into it. But like I said, the exposures are blank because I feel best to do about this is just min-maxing. First fight we got obviously the main event. Miocic versus Cormier. Miocic coming in at 8,200. Cormier coming in at 8K even. FanDuel 20 and 19 respectively. The FanDuel pricing has been very good. I actually respect it. Opposed to like fantasy site platforms, recently I have been making adding a lot more to my bankroll on FanDuel opposed to DK, especially with the NBA. I don't post NBA videos just because there's so much work into it. Like making a video before, like the night before or anything like that is really futile. Like especially at the last part of the season, I might do something like for playoffs, something like that, but that later on the line. Miocic 19-3, average fantasy points 92.3. He's got an 8-inch height and a 5-inch reach advantage. He's got a 79% finish rate. He's in a smaller cage that might improve the striking, might not. There's going to be higher interaction, and then he's got 4.9 strikes per minute. Coming in at 8K, obviously Daniel Cormier, 22-2, 87.4. Minus 8 on the height, minus 5 on the reach. He's got a 44% takedown accuracy, 16% finish rate, 4.25 strikes per minute. I think this benefits Cormier. I think his mind's in the right spot. He's in like that Michael Jordan mode where he's like, I want to go out on top. I want to finish being one of the best to ever do it. I think the smaller cage actually like kind of benefits Cormier a bit due to the way he wrestles. Who knows? Like I said, you got to split shares. This is like one of the fights where I think you have like the least split shares, or where I'm probably gonna have like 95% O'Malley and probably like 5% Marlon Vera. O'Malley comes in at 92, 21 on FanDuel. He's the highest priced person on FanDuel. 11-0, 97.6 average fantasy points. He's got 3 inches on the height, 2 inches on the reach. His strikes per minute is massive. His strike accuracy is insane. 6.8 strikes per minute, 75% finish rate. Like O'Malley's the man. O'Malley's the future. Marlon Vera is like the cheapest person on FanDuel. Comes in at 7K on DraftKings. Also the cheapest person on that slate. 15-5, 71.6 average fantasy points per fight. Minus 3 on the height, minus 2 on the reach. 3.7 strikes per minute. Marlon Vera's got an 87% finish rate. Like, the reason why I'm gonna have like a 5% split on Marlon Vera is because I'm gonna have like, out of the 150 lines that I have, I'm going to have like 12 or like 10 that have Vera mirrored instead of the O'Malley slot on what I think would be like the optimal lineup. Like, strictly because if he does somehow win by upset or decision, like by fit, I don't think he's gonna finish O'Malley, but like, who knows? Maybe O'Malley like shatters his foot again, like when he goes for a kick or something like this. Something weird can happen. Like it's MMA, so it's a volatile sport we have. So you have to have like that kind of exposure. Just because if it sets you like apart, like in the Millionaire Maker, you're gonna bank like 250K. Like no one's gonna have Marlon Vera. So like be conscientious about that. with your exposure, like how you're managing your bankroll with that too, like just everything. Just you should have it at the very minimum, even if you're entering like 10 to 20 lineups, like 1 to 2 lineups of Marlon Vera. Rosenstruck versus Dos Santos. This fight is, Rosenstruck versus Dos Santos. This fight is gnarly. I do like Rosenstruck a bit. DK salary 8,400. FanDuel salary 17. Average fantasy points 79.2. They're the same height, and Rosenstruck just has a 1-inch reach advantage. He's got 3.8 strikes per minute, a higher finish rate, 90%. JDS 7,800, 15 on FanDuel, 21-7, 77 fantasy points per minute, -1 on the reach, but he strikes more, 4.66 per minute. A little bit less finish rate, of course, 76. This is a very split fight. I do think like Rosenstruck for like a betting favorite. This is going to make or break a lot of people's parlays tonight. Also, a lot of their DFS lineups. Both of them had knockout power. It might be like if you pick the right one, or if you have the right one like in your lineup's probably going to do well. Your lineup will probably do fine if you fade. Like it's one of those where you actually can fade and still feel comfortable because they're both priced like at such like a mid range. Dos Santos is probably going to pop a little more in optimizers just because like the 8K and under is a little bit light. But yeah, it's a good fight. This is probably one of those where you just want to crack a beer, chill back, and talk with your homies. Social distancing, of course. Next one we got on the card, Baby Burns at 8,900, 19 on FanDuel, coming in at 10-2, 104.5 fantasy points per minute, 2 inches on the height, 3 inches on the reach, 82% finish rate, 2.6 strikes per minute, 100% takedown accuracy. Baby Burns is a monster of a man. Pineda coming in at 7,300, $12 on FanDuel. He's at 18-11, 60.6 average fantasy points, -2 on the height, -3 on the reach. He does have like 100% finish rate, typically because he tries to go for submissions. 2.99 strikes per minute. Burns all day. Like if you're not paying up for O'Malley, if you want to pivot, like even if you don't want to have Vera, if you want to pivot off O'Malley, like you can take Burns and it's fine and you can feel comfortable about it. That's really it. The only reason I say that is because Vera has not been finished. So that's the only reason why I'm even skeptical about O'Malley, but like that -330 that I locked in earlier in the week, doing that. Next one we got Dvalishvili versus Dotson. Dvalishvili comes in at 8,700, 18 on FanDuel, 10-4, 107.1 fantasy points per minute, 3 inches on the height, 2 inches on the reach, 27% finish rate. He is a decision superstar, wrestling phenom, 4 strikes per minute. Dotson 7,500, 14 on FanDuel, 22-11, 69 fantasy points per minute, -3 on the height, -2 on the reach. Dotson's a magician. Dotson's fought like everyone who's in the top of that division. This is going to be a really good fight. Like Dotson is a good underdog. He's a bit favorable. His finish rate's obviously much higher. Dotson can do it. Also upset a lot of cards because a lot of people are going to be very high on Dvalishvili. Jim Miller, 8,300, 16 on FanDuel, 31-14, 61.6 fantasy points per minute, -2 on the height, -1 on the reach, 69% finish rate. He's getting older. He actually mentioned that his cardio is like, he noticed in training his cardio is getting worse as he's going on and getting older in years. And he said like straight up, it's not where it needs to be. He needs to try and finish more and push the pace. So that's one thing to consider. But I do like Vince Pichel in the spot. 7,900 on DK, 15 on FanDuel, 12-2, 73.5 fantasy points per minute, 2 inches on the height, 1 inch on the reach, 67% finish rate, 3.3 strikes per minute. Like I said, one of my personal favorite underdogs is on the card. Next, Jan Jarobi versus Herrig. Herrig is a huge underdog in this. I think she's one of the more favorable low price options on DK possibly. Jan Jarobi, 9K on DK, 17 on FanDuel, 15-1, 76 fantasy points scored average, -1 on the height, -1 on the reach, 80% finish rate. Her takedown accuracy is 80%. So she's going to try and take her down, put her on the mat. This thing. Felice Herrig, 7,200 on DK, 10 on FanDuel, 14-8 win-loss, 66.2 fantasy points per per fight, 1 inch on the height, 1 inch on the reach, 36% finish rate, 3.69 strikes per minute. So she has a 76% takedown defense. So like Felice Herrig, like she could throw. She's fought everyone. She was brought up like on the Ultimate Fighter. Ultimately lost in the final. She's been brought up. She has a high takedown defense. I think she's a fine underdog. Like that. This fight's like moderately very unappealing. Next we got TJ Brown coming in at 8,800 on DK, 17 on FanDuel, 14-7, 63 average fantasy points per fight. 1 inch on the height. He's got a 72-inch reach. Chavez's reach wasn't listed. 93% finish rate, 3.7 strikes per minute, 85% takedown accuracy, huge. Chavez comes in at 7,400 on DK, 13 on FanDuel, 13.3 on his record, which pretty solid. Don't know his fantasy score. It's his debut on a fantasy card. Minus 1 inch on the height, so I imagine possibly like 1 to 2 inches on the reach disadvantage. He's got a 30% finish rate. He's like my least favorite low price option. Like I haven't really even seen footage, to be honest, on him. Like if anything, I'll probably go with Brown if he pops up, but if not, I mean it's not a big deal. And like I said, I'm min maxing. Like I'm just putting in my pool, like working it that way. Like yeah. Next we got Souza vs. Yoder. Souza comes in at 8,600 on DK, 15 on FanDuel, 13.3, 65 average fantasy points per fight, minus 4 on the height, minus 6 on the reach, huge. She got a 77% finish rate though. Sure, her takedown accuracy is only 50%. She's probably my least favorite high price pay-up option. We got Yoder coming in at 76 on DK, 11 on FanDuel. 7-5, 56.3 average fantasy points scored. 4 inches on the height, 6 inches on the reach. That is huge. 57% finish rate, 3.1 strikes per minute. So literally double. Well, not literally, but like almost there. Her takedown defense is pretty solid. 60%. I like Yoder as a cheap option coming in at 7,600. There's not a lot of low priced options on this card. So you kind of have to keep that in mind with who you're trying to fit. Next up, Porter Dukakis. Porter 8,500, 17 on FanDuel, 10-5. Next 2 fights feel like contender fights. No average fantasy points listed for either. Porter's -3 on the height, -2 on the reach. She got 89% finish rate though. This fight should be a banger. Dawkins comes in at 7,700. I like Dawkins though, 14 on FanDuel as well, 8-3. 3 inches on the height, 2 inches on the reach, 88% finish rate. Both these are here. Definitely, if you're betting, this fight will not go to the distance. Next, Kamaka and Kelly. Kamaka 8,900 on DK, 18 on FanDuel, 7-2. -3 on the height. Reach wasn't listed. Only 14% finish rate. I'm not too big on it. Kelly, I think, is where it's at in this fight. 7,300. Like literally one of the least price options aside from Vera the time with Pineda. 5-1. He's got a 3-inch height advantage, so I imagine he should have something like maybe like a 4-inch reach advantage, at least 3. Like it's very rare that someone who's shorter is about the same or has an advantage at all. 80% finish rate, huge. Love to pay down option. I like where it's at. This is going to be a bang over card. I love it. Like I said, just make sure you're min-maxing. If you are doing parlays betting, make sure you're choosing it right. Is that a Pikachu? Yes. Fuck. Is that a Pikachu? Yes. Is that WWE title belt? Yes. Was that the breakdown of the card? Absolutely. Please make sure you like, subscribe, leave a comment. All of it helps me being an independent content creator. Hope you guys are staying safe. Enjoy the card tonight. I will be back most likely tomorrow with the wide receiver breakdowns for all top 75. That will be a very long video, so that's why I'm just doing it on a Sunday and I got literally nothing else going on. But yeah, once again, see you next time. Thanks for the support, always appreciated. Take it easy.